Hi, folks. Welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Well, for those of you that have subscribed to the newsletter here, we've been trying to revamp it. I do have some stuff to talk about, really breaking news, really important stuff. So don't go get off of this video. Just bear with me because there's all kinds of important things to cover. I know some of you are so impatient. I get it all the time. Why did it take you 35 seconds to get to the point? I mean, come on, guys. Just, if you're that impatient now, your life's going to be really, really bad eventually. Anyway, so we've been trying to do a local newspaper here with our local group. Not just about us, but about preparedness in the region and really around the world. The eventual end goal is to create a resistance paper. If you look throughout history, pretty much all resistance movements have their own paper, and we believe that that is very important. So there's been a lot of struggle because we want it to look like a newspaper, have that kind of format, but yet be able to be printed off on an 8x11 whatever piece of paper. We've tried several different templates that didn't work or that were just too expensive. Finally found something, and I think it looks pretty good. So if you normally get our subscription, which is free, it's just a newsletter sign up, make sure you check your inbox or your spam box. A lot of times it goes to spam. If you want to sign up, I'll leave a link down in the description below. It's totally free. If you want this current one, because if you sign up, I've already sent it out. If you want this current one, shoot me an email and I'll do my best, depending on the influx of requests, I'll do my best to send it to you. And this can be printed off and shared around. Yes, there's quite a bit of focus on our local group, but it's really about just having a resistance paper out there. And we're all pretty excited here locally to be able to produce this and hope that it will just only get better. But so just thought we'd put that out there for you. The United Auto Workers of America went on strike overnight. I guess as of this morning at midnight, about 13,000 workers at Ford, Chevy, and a couple other plants have gone on strike. It's affecting, they say, somewhere around 130, 140,000 auto workers. So we'll see how this works out. I mean, here's the thing right now. I don't know that it will affect new car purchases too much, at least for a while, unless it's drawn out, because the reports in the last few weeks have been that there's too many new cars on the market, that these car lots, they're just sitting everywhere. Most of them are electric cars because that's what these companies are pushing now, but there's just a flood of too many new cars out there. They can't sell them fast enough. No one's buying them. So I don't know that cutting back on manufacturing new cars is going to really affect the market right now anyways, but I thought I'd put it out there. Last few days I've been talking a lot about immigration, and the reason why I'm talking about it is because like no one else is talking about it. There's all these other things out there and they're all important, but man, I think this one's a real big one. That little island south of Italy, it's part of Italy, it's actually south of Sicily. Lampedusa, USA, I think is how it's pronounced, but I'm sure I'm butchering that. Well, I've talked about it a few times. They've had, in one day, they had like 6 or 7,000 African migrants show up on their island. There's only 5,000 people that live on this island. So that's a big deal. And there's videos out there of it. It's absolute chaos. A state of emergency has been declared. They're begging for outside help because they cannot contain this. And there's already lots of reports of violent acts and stuff that's being reported. Well, that last night or yesterday overnight, another 1,000 showed up, and reports are that they estimate that there's another 10,000 on boats headed that way from Africa. So this is a really, really horrible situation. They can't keep all those people on this one. It's a tiny little island. Like I said, there's only about 5,000 residents there, but it's exploding. But we focus on that because it's so out of balance with the population, but it's happening here in the United States too. We've been averaging around 2,000 to 7,000 people a day coming across the border. Just the other day there was 7,000. I've shown videos yesterday at the Arizona, one of the Arizona crossing points. A lot of people coming across our border every day. And they're not all south of the border residents. Many of these are also African. Apparently, there's some easy way to get from Africa to here, or at least a decent route, and it's being spread around on TikTok videos in Africa. And so there's this massive influx of African migrants coming towards America. Border Patrol released from the reports yesterday or the day before, released about 2,000 of these African migrants into a small border town in Arizona. And there's just more. I think the last record that I saw, pretty solid numbers, said that Border Patrol currently has about 21,000 of them in custody, and they're trying to disperse them and send them out. It's a mess, but it's been a mess. It's one of those things that there's just so much going on. I had someone on Twitter yesterday messaging me saying, it's overwhelming. There's so many different things going on trying to keep up. It's overwhelming. It absolutely is that way. You're totally correct. And so we focus on this, and then weeks later we've been focusing on all this other stuff, and we've forgotten that there are still thousands and thousands of people every day pouring across the United States border, and they're from all over the world. And the effect on our society, the effect on crime rates is definitely going to be profound. Just in Italy, there's an article in Italy, and this, so don't even say it, some of you trolls. It's not racist to say this, it's just pointing facts. That in Italy right now, about half of all rape cases are now committed by the migrants coming up from Africa. And they say that number's on the rise. And we can look at very similar numbers here in the United States in these areas where there's been massive influx of illegals. So yeah, they're replacing our population with third world populations that are just going to destroy it. And no one seems to be doing anything about it. Biden, on the other hand, apparently has a big message to talk to us about, and this is really where I wanted to get to. So I noticed something yesterday. You know, a lot of times when you see things pop up in the news that appear to be random, but yet you can see a definite pattern, makes you wonder, is something about ready to happen? And that's kind of what I'm getting the feeling. It's just kind of a rumble in my stomach. Maybe it's, something I ate. I don't know, but it just feels like there's something there. Excuse me. Speaking of rumbles. Yesterday, CNN posted this article here stating that the White House is saying that Biden is planning a speech in the next week or two focusing on the threat to our democracy. Now, they didn't go into any kind of details of what that means, but I think most of you can probably assume that they're not talking about the pink-haired people out there drag dancing in front of children. They're probably talking about you and I. But that's going to be his big focus coming up, is the immediate threat to our democracy. The assistant, whatever, general of the United Nations, whatever, the second person in charge, it's a woman, was talking about yesterday, also in the news, that there's this desperate need to control misinformation, and that there needs to be an army of trusted sources so that they could combat this misinformation epidemic. And I'm kind of putting in my own words, but it's generally what she said. Then also yesterday, Joe Biden was talking somewhere, and he did talk about briefly of the threat to our democracy, saying that there is an immediate serious threat to our democracy, and that it's in peril because of whatever this threat is, this elusive threat. I would doubt that he's talking about the Chinese or the Russians either. I would say that and I could be wrong, but I'm guessing that the focus is on us. Just in the last couple of weeks, I've been reporting that United States Special Operations Command has announced that they have contracted with a company to develop an artificial intelligence program to be online and to check and to find out all the misinformation and correct it that is spreading online. YouTube just recently has updated their policies, and they're becoming even more strict. Not just on the stuff, but any kind of health information. If you get on and you talk about a meat diet, or if you get on there and talk about keto stuff, any of that kind of stuff, that you could be censored. So there's more and more. It seems to be this intensification of, there's this elusive threat, and we have to be gearing up for it. Not we, you and I, but we, the government. And then, of course, October 4th is not that far away, 2.5, 3 weeks away. And that is the day that FEMA has announced that they're going to do a nationwide test of the emergency alert system. Now, that may be completely nothing, because that stuff does kind of happen sometimes. But it just seems, with all the other whispers and scuttle that's being talked about, that they're going to do this nationwide emergency alert system right around the time that all this threat to democracy stuff is happening. They're trying to push all this gun control stuff because there's all these shootings out there, all kinds of stuff. I mean, yes, there's probably real shootings. I'm not saying they're not, but you kind of wonder if who's behind the shooting. Are they really just that random, or is the certain alphabet lettered agents kind of involved in it? But the point that I'm getting to, if there even is one, is that there's just this gut feeling that it seems like something's about ready to happen, a shift, a change, something to pop. Maybe I'm totally wrong, but it does seem that there's this kind of build up of narrative, and build up of suspense, and it all seems to be centered around folks like you and I being a threat. And I thought I would just go ahead and put that out there. Nothing may happen over the coming weeks, but it does seem to be something. And I'm not saying it's even going to be that, great and large of a thing that happens, but it does seem that something's is being built. Some type of narrative is being built. And I think that we should be aware of that, because, as I've said on here all along, you and I are the real threat. We're the enemy to them. Okay, these people that are trying to rule the world, these people, they call themselves elite, whoever they are, they view you and I as a threat. Why? Because we don't conform to their ways. We resist it. We are the resistance movement, folks. We are those partisans, those resistance, those rebels. Not because we do such bad things, because we just don't conform to their evil ways. And just simply that reason alone is enough for us to be their enemy. And they're going to do everything they can to shut us up, to destroy us, and eventually that stuff too. So you need to be getting ready. That's why I've advocated for years. I advocate prepping partly because it's just common sense. Bad things happen to people all the time, so you should be prepared for it. But really, the preparedness that you should be getting ready for is because this stuff, this end times, they view you as an enemy. It is an all-out absolute war between good and evil. And if you stand on the side of good, which I hope most of my listeners do, then evil views you as an enemy, and they're about ready to unleash their war on us. And you need to be starting your preparations very quickly and putting lots and lots of effort into them, because if you're just starting right now, you're way behind the curve. Get your houses in order, folks. Be preparing yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.